Good afternoon, everyone. So for today's live video, I wanted to finally start talking about keto a little bit. For those of you who know me a little bit more on a personal level, I did have some weight loss success with keto, but not too long after I stopped doing keto, I decided, I noticed some after effects of that, and I wanted to get into that a little bit today, and basically get into the 8 reasons why I don't think keto is a good choice for most people. Alright, now, say you wanted to lose weight and you had doctor's orders on why you should do keto. Doctor's orders come first. I'm not a doctor. So, but these are based on anecdotal information and a little bit of research that I had during my coursework on what keto is, because of course it's a hot topic and it seems like everybody's doing it or at least looking into it. So hopefully this will help you hopefully sway your decision out of it for the most part, but at least give you some ideas as to, from somebody who's actually done it, why it isn't a good choice. All right. So first, what is keto? So basically, it's a type of diet where you, as much as possible, restrict your carbohydrates. They say the magic number is 20 grams of carbohydrates, which is so low. It's basically taking out all forms of starches and sugars and fruits, so that basically you're left with the last few straggler grams of carbs that may come from like vegetables. And basically what that does is that forces your body to burn fat and muscle in order to lose weight. So basically what are you eating? You're mainly eating sources of fat and a little bit of protein. So that's kind of where most of the problems come from, is because your eating is so restrictive. Okay, so reason number 1. So number 1 is that only a calorie deficit has been scientifically proven to cause weight loss, like actual fat loss. Okay, so basically, if you successfully get into ketosis where your body is burning, the way that keto says it should, you can still overeat and you can still eat to make up for it. So if you're not in a calorie deficit, keto isn't going to work anyways, okay? So that kind of helps us get into reason number 2 a little bit, is that a lot of people see like an instant huge drop in weight when they first get into ketosis. That isn't fat loss, especially since it only happens in like a couple weeks. That is water weight. You may lose 15 pounds of water weight, or more, or less, but it is water weight. The reason that I think this happens, and I've read a little bit of research on it, I don't know that there's really enough research to say for certain, but from what I have seen and read about it, is that when you ingest carbohydrates and carbohydrate sugars that are stored in your body, they hold on to some water. So when you start to burn those, the water goes with it. It gets eliminated. So yeah, maybe you're starting to burn a little bit, maybe a pound or 2 or so, but all that is the excess water coming out of your system. It does actually cause you to be dehydrated too. It also causes your sodium levels in your body to drop. Your electrolytes will drop, so they tell you to make sure you eat a little bit more salt than normal to help maintain that so you don't dehydrate yourself, so that you actually do retain a little bit of water. So see what happens to your body. You actually dehydrate yourself, kind of, okay? So yeah, you're supposed to have extra water, extra sodium in order to, not cause yourself to actually get into a state of dehydration. Okay, so that initial big weight loss is not fat loss at all. That is water weight. Reason number 3, and I started to allude to this a moment ago, is that, yes, scientific research is starting to be done on the keto diet, just because it is such a hot topic, but while they say that certain aspects of it work, and I used to tell people too, I'm like, yeah, keto can be dangerous, but there's a right and a wrong way to do it. I still agree to that to a certain extent, but for right now, after what I've experienced, honestly, the cons outweigh the pros, and just going at it the old-fashioned way, calorie deficit only, that seems to be the more healthy way. I'll get into that in a moment. But, yeah, there's just simply not enough long-term studies and meta-studies to prove that this is actually safe. They haven't been able to test all the variables. They haven't been able to test all of the populations. They cannot accurately come to the conclusion that this is safe for the general public in all ways. So, that right there, that's really one of the first things that should make you hesitate and be like, well, is this really a good, safe option for me? So, always go for with what is scientifically proven. Calorie deficits are scientifically proven in like all populations. So, it's tried and true. All right, reason number 4. So one of the effects of being in ketosis is that most people, not everybody, most people don't get hungry anymore. That happened to me. I wasn't hungry for like 2 years. Okay, scratch that. No, I used to get out of keto like during the holidays. I would just, get out of ketosis and eat like a regular person for a little while, or like binge around the holidays. I would get hungry then, but when I was safely in a state of ketosis, I never got hungry, which sounds awesome, and thankfully it kind of was, except you are messing with your hormones. There are hormones involved that tell you to be hungry and tell you to be full. That is your body's natural way of telling you, hey, eat, or hey, stop eating, okay? Ketosis messes with that because it is now inhibiting that hormone that tells you to be hungry from doing its job. So, alright, so you're not eating when you should be, first of all, to maintain actual energy levels. Alright, so what a state of ketosis is actually causing is for you to starve yourself. So after that initial big drop in weight, now the additional weight that comes off, a few pounds a week or something like that, that is simply because you are starving yourself and you are not eating enough. So that actually makes me get into reason number, on my list I have reason number 6, I'll get back to reason number 5, but the 5th reason here in this video is when you starve yourself, like when you're past the point of a calorie deficit, okay, and you're eating even less than what you have safely calculated your deficit out to be, other hormones start to get involved, and the big one is cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. It is the hormone that produces that fight or flight response, all right? And whenever your body is in some sort of state of, there's issues, some sort of state of stress, your body starts naturally making more cortisol in order to prepare yourself to fight or flight. So, all right, so let's break that apart a little bit. So for instance, I'll use my story for this. So after the holidays, after I finished losing weight, I was on and off, in and out of keto for like a while, like a year or so, and not really seeing the results I wanted to. It wasn't really a straight year. It was on and off. But let's say right after the holidays of 2018, so into the beginning part of 2019, pre-pandemic. Sorry. Early 2020. There we go. Years are messed up. We'll just skip 2020. Okay. No, the early part of 2020 was when I tried to get the holiday weight from that holiday season of 2019 off, right? So it didn't work. I was in ketosis. I was probably eating 850 calories, super unsafe, right? And it wasn't happening. I also was experiencing some pretty extreme anxiety. And the cortisol was a part of that. A big part. And I definitely had a nutritionist to actually tell me, hey, we got to get you out of this. This is why this is happening. You have a hormone imbalance. It was caused by being in a state of ketosis. So, but that's what causes it. It was also an estrogen thing too, but cortisol was a big part of that. And cortisol, extra cortisol in your system is caused by you starving yourself. It's a response to a state of stress, okay? You can't be starving yourself to lose weight. You can deficit, but you cannot go past that because that's what's going to happen. You will be in a state of stress. You will feel stressed. You will not feel good. And any weight loss attempts you make, including the overexercise causes this too, by the way, okay? You cannot overexercise because the same thing is going to happen. You do both, you've double screwed yourself then, okay? It can't be too much, all right? So, cortisol, it's good in emergency, that's why it's there, but we don't live those lives anymore, okay? We don't have to run from predators not usually. All right. So to keep that cortisol in check, you have to find that balance of what's going to work. Okay, back to reason number 5. Okay, or the 6th reason here is because of the lack of scientific studies, there is an unknown effect on the body's cholesterol levels because you're eating such high levels of fat, and you're not supposed to eat lean protein at all. You would think that definitely would raise the cholesterol levels in your blood and in your system, anywhere that cholesterol is going to affect you, really, in your arteries, in your organs. I mean, there's a ripple effect that comes from high cholesterol. So with the evidence being unknown, again, that should be another red flag that, hey, maybe this is not the safest option. How is this going to affect me later? How is this going to affect me if I'm doing keto for a few years? All right, a little dicey there. Okay, next one. So reason number 7, because you are only eating certain foods, not certain food groups, just like certain foods, really, because, you eat too much protein, you're gonna kick out of ketosis, So, like, you're eating fats, you're eating fattier proteins, you're eating vegetables that don't have very many calories in them because you don't want to have too much of the starch from the vegetables, so there's only certain vegetables you're eating too. Because it's so restrictive, you're not going to be getting the micronutrients you need either. So micronutrients are those vitamins and minerals. There's that whole list of them that we can read on the back of a multivitamin container of what we are supposed to be eating, and there's a lot. Multivitamins do help, but remember, most of them are also synthetically produced. Is that really the best for your system? No, a whole balanced diet. That's where you're going to get your best sources of those micronutrients. And the keto diet does not allow you to eat a lot of them. Okay, so you'll have an overabundance of some, and you'll be severely lacking in others. All right, and the last reason I have for today is that when you are in keto, again, you're supposed to be eating primarily fats and only fatty protein. So the lean protein and the chemicals that are in proteins that help build up your muscle, you're also not getting enough of those either. So, your body is starving. It is trying to find different sources of ways to maintain itself. So what it's going to start doing is it's going to start breaking down your muscle mass and using the materials that make up your muscles to live off of, to make energy. So what also happens is all that strength training you're doing, you're not going to gain strength. If you're lucky, you'll maintain it. But in most cases, you're probably going to lose strength over time doing keto. And that was also something that happened to me too. I was, actually the specific example was that, I do pole fitness, and you need an extreme amount of strength for that. A lot of good toned muscle for it. And there was a time where I could do a lot more stuff, but in that last year that I was doing keto, I lost the ability to do a lot. Like, I just felt weaker. I couldn't maintain a pose for, like, the amount of time I could. I couldn't even get into it sometimes. It started to make me feel unsafe because I lacked the conditioning that I had before. And, I was trying to maintain it. I was practicing about as often as I was before, but I was not gaining strength. I was losing it. And that was pretty scary to me, actually. It was very discouraging, too. So, yeah, and that was because of the catabolic effect of keto on my muscles. And, that's pretty terrifying, too, especially because as we age, you're going to see some sort of a decrease in that anyways. You want to do more strength training in order to keep that up as we age so that we continue encouraging greater mobility and strength. We want to be able to get up off the floor, like I was talking about. It was a few days ago or last week. So if you're considering doing keto, or say you've done it in the past and you've experienced some of these things, tell me about it, certainly. To help anybody else who might be seeing this and is considering it as a fast weight loss trick. And, I wish there was more hard evidence out there to help give people a clearer picture as to, what it could be helpful for, but really also the risks involved as well. And maybe someday the research will get us there. But in the meantime, After having been through it, seeing some success, but also seeing some failure with it, at this point, I am not going to recommend it to anybody. I'm not. I'm going to be recommending, with any clients, I will be recommending something more balanced, or starting with something balanced, and you tell me if you want to tweak it, and we'll work through that together. All right, so hopefully this has given you some insight as to a really hot nutrition topic. Alrighty, so I wish you a good day, and certainly if you have any experience with keto that you'd like to share, certainly please comment below. I'd love to hear about it, and I'm sure other people could certainly learn something from it too. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.